Hi, I'm Amaya, and welcome back to my channel. I talk about Katseye a lot here. They're one of my most talked about groups because I find them so fascinating. For them to have only 15 songs, they're a group that gets brought up in conversation constantly, from them being one of the only international groups under a K-pop label, to people talking about their music, their branding, even their advertisements spark conversation. Wild is the name of their EP and their documentary, and they reveal Katseye's motivations for moving forward as a group. Today, we will discuss everything there is to talk about from both the documentary and this EP. Let's begin with their latest single, Hootie Fruity. It starts with a line in Portuguese despite none of the members speaking that language. It leans into sexual themes while having a slime advertisement in it, and it gives most of its lines to dancers Megan and Daniela, despite Sophia and Lara being their strongest singers. One question everyone's asking is Katseye for kids? And there are full-length YouTube videos and Substack articles on this topic. But this question has a lot of merit to it. Just look at the material. They have porn moans in Gnarly. Then they performed that song at the Kids' Choice Awards. And they have Daniela in a thong in the same music video where Megan is playing with slime. Who is the target audience? In interviews, Katseye's members have repeatedly talked about their last two EPs being more mature. But what does this mean? And how can you make mature music while still appealing to a child audience? For people who still argue that Katseye isn't appealing to children, here's a list of everything they have done to target this audience specifically. The Monster High theme song, Kids' Choice Awards performance, Toca Boca collaboration, Celebrity Classroom appearance, Kuromi x Katseye collection, Dress to Impress partnership, and Gui Gui Slime. These individual collaborations don't make them appeal to kids. Ice Spice performed at the Kids' Choice Awards, A$AP Rocky appeared on Celebrity Classroom, and Lady Gaga worked with Dress to Impress as well. The sheer amount of these collaborations is what shows that Katseye's team is working hard to reach a child audience. Despite what many people would think about people not taking them seriously because of this audience or their music being dumbed down for kids, children are a great audience to appeal to. They're very impressionable, they like this chaotic, high-energy music, they like bright colors and fun dances, and wherever kids go, their parents go as well. When a kid goes to their concert, they immediately sell 2 tickets instead of 1. Yes, children listen to most major artists, but Katseye appeals directly to them in this way. This is especially interesting because, as the members said, they're undergoing this maturation period that every female artist goes through. Typically, they'll appeal to kids first while they're also young, and then shift to a wider, more adult audience as they grow older. I think of former Disney stars for this, like Miley Cyrus, Demi Lovato, and Selena Gomez. But more recently, people like Sabrina Carpenter and Olivia Rodrigo have done this same thing. Originally, they stayed away from using curse words in their music, they dressed modestly at appearances, performances, and in their music videos, and they talked about relationships without discussing sexual topics extensively. When Miley Cyrus and Selena Gomez wanted to stop appealing to kids, we saw it in their clothing, choreography, and in their music videos. Miley talking about drugs, twerking, and wearing skin-tight clothes were all symbols of her maturing as an artist and trying to move away from a young audience. Selena Gomez posed naked on her 2015 album Revival to move away from that child-friendly image she grew on Disney Channel. However, Selena later spoke about how she regretted posing naked for this album cover, which is something we will come back to later on in this video. Sabrina Carpenter started making sexual innuendos and posing in sex positions on stage. For Katseye, through Beautiful Chaos and Wild eras, they started wearing lingerie in promotional images, twerking, and making sexual innuendos, yet they never stopped appealing to kids. If you're interested in Katseye at all, you've probably seen the hundreds of videos of people giving their kids Katseye concert tickets, or the videos about kids singing along with their documentary. The members also talked about their young fans specifically in the documentary. When I talk about Katseye, I'm focusing more on the team behind them, being their managers, creative directors, stylists, choreographers, not necessarily the members themselves. The members are Katseye, but from a broader scale, Katseye is a brand, and the brand is what we are focusing on, not the 6 members. Katseye's actions, like using more explicit language, their songs, and their dances, show that they want to target an adult audience, but they target kids with brand deals because they make money. Even if it requires them to promote children's toys, while singing a song and doing a dance that have sexual themes. Again, this isn't the fault of the members because they don't get to decide what they do. They're not the ones screening these brand deals, determining the placement. They are just the face of the brand. They may not have State Farm insurance, but they were placed in that advertisement because State Farm thought it would be good to put them there, and Katseye's team wanted to do the ad. It's not about the members specifically, whether or not they align with the brand or if they feel like it's appropriate. However, I and many other fans find it incredibly troubling that they're sexualizing the girls in the same video where they advertise to kids. Back to what I was saying earlier about Selena Gomez and coming to regret these things as people get older. It is one thing for the members to want to dress this way themselves, and it's something else to do it to go along with the group. Let's be completely honest. With promoting a song like Hootie Fruity, they weren't going to come on here wearing sweatpants and hoodies. They had to dress a certain type of way to match the image of the song, and the members also have to dress to match the image of the group. If someone is comfortable being almost naked in a video, that's perfectly fine. But I think we have to talk about how they are using them being almost naked to sell a product to us, right? Because we don't see their boy groups doing the same thing. We don't see them in just their underwear. We don't see them doing these dances that are this overtly sexual. Even groups like ENHYPEN, where almost every song they release is about relationships. Even groups of older people like 17. And you can say they're just doing whatever they need to do to appeal to that market. Sex sells more in the US as opposed to in South Korea. But I don't like the idea of it just being with how young Katseye's audience tends to skew. Also with how young the members are, despite them being 18, 19. If I want to walk around wearing clothes like that because that's what I want to do, that's one thing. If I walk around like that because that's what my boss wants me to do, that's something different. And I think it's strange that people act like there's no difference between those two things. Like, comment, subscribe, and hype this video so it goes out to a larger audience. That makes a big difference. And let's get back to the video. Another issue people have with this song is how it's based in a sexualized image of Brazilian culture, despite none of the members being Brazilian. A lot of fans also don't like the forced accents you can hear throughout this song. For me, it's particularly clear when they do every day. And I've never thought that the Brazilian accent sounded like that, like every day. Hootie Fruity. I've never thought Brazilian people sounded like that. ATEEZ just did a comeback where they wanted to go Latina, despite all of the members being Korean.
I feel like if we go Latina like that.
What's so different about this? Here's the logic behind it. First of all, I do want to say, with my ATEEZ example, people did react to that, and there were people saying that they felt uncomfortable about their representation of Latin culture. Let's first talk about Katseye being a global group and the idea that they wanted to represent all of their cultures, right? The members continuously bring this up. When they win awards, they all speak in their own languages. They all like to have culturally representative items on them. For Lara, it's her bindi. For Manon, it's her waist beads. So they do try to weave in the members' cultures with their branding. And Katseye has been continuously advertised as a multicultural group from the very beginning, when the girls introduced themselves speaking in their own languages on the Dream Academy survival show. Race and nationality were obviously key factors in building this group. They wanted to represent several different cultures from around the world. Hootie Fruity, I've said this so many times, Hootie Fruity is also a song based in Latin American culture, and it's not their first one. They released Gabriela last year, which performed incredibly well. It did well even with the general public, placing high on Billboard. It also won them a VMA. And Latin America is a very attractive area for K-pop groups to appeal to right now. It's why HYBE rushed to form Santos Bravos last year. It's also why JYP has been floating around the idea of doing a Latin American group for the last several years. It's why ATEEZ tried to go Latina. We saw Girls Set release a Spanish version of their song Tweak, and more K-pop groups are performing at festivals across South America this year. And to talk about a group that I've spoken about a lot on this channel, VVS is now trying to put together a Latin American tour, which is very interesting because they haven't toured the US, where they are now based. They didn't tour in Korea, where they were based before, but they're aiming for this Latin American audience for a reason. I think this is the issue as well. Hootie Fruity is inspired by Brazilian funk music, which is a genre I actually really like. It reminded me of Kombachi, which is a song that has Anitta on it. She's a really popular Brazilian artist. And that song's about a twerk battle, so you can kind of see the similarities with the sexual theming of Hootie Fruity. When Katseye released Gabriela, I don't think their intention was to be culturally representative necessarily. Remember, Gabriela was not a song written for Katseye. It had been around for several years and Katseye picked it up. So when people think of it as an actual attempt to represent the members' cultures, it wasn't really trying to be that. And so, in honesty, I think they wanted a song that would do well, either on the charts or with the fans, or be good to perform at concerts. Latin music has performed well in the US for a while. It makes sense. We already have the audience over here for that. Also, we have a huge Latino population, and obviously Katseye is based in the US despite them trying to be an international group. Furthermore, HYBE has had success with Brazilian-inspired music over this past year. In March of this year, Santos Bravos released their first EP featuring 4 Spanish-language songs and 1 Portuguese song. Their 1 Portuguese song, Velocidade, went viral with their fan base, and it was the song that they ended up switching to be their title track. And they also performed it on music shows because fans liked it that much. This isn't a reach to say that a song doing well for one group means that HYBE will recreate it with another group, right? Because HYBE likes for their groups to make similar music at similar times. Let's just go back to earlier this year when everyone was complaining about HYBE's continuous hyperpop releases, right? We had Pinky Up from Katseye, we had It's Me from Islet, we had Celebration and Boompala from Le Seraphim. They were releasing these similar songs at this time, and then they did a bunch of remixes. Then they did a collaborative song between all 3 of the groups. Of course, this is no coincidence. They lined up these songs together on purpose. People have already speculated that Santos Bravos will be on a remix of Hootie Fruity just because of this pattern. Even after I wrote this part of the script, Enhypen just released Bloody Paradise, which is yet another Brazilian funk-inspired song. The next comment I've heard a lot about Katseye is the Daniela and friends saying that they're pushing Daniela too much to be the center, to be the main singer for the group. She's getting too many lines by making music that's only representative of her culture. Let's address each one of these points. We've talked about the culturally representative music already, right? It's just what's the most easily digestible for their domestic audience, not necessarily them trying to appeal to her culture the most, right? But to add on to this point, Daniela is the member who has gotten to interact with her cultural audience the most frequently. They went on a festival run across Latin America for a while, so she got to speak Spanish. She got to be around the Latin American fans much more than Yoonchae has been in Korea with the group. They also have not gone to India or the Philippines or China. Music aimed towards Latin America is the most useful in their festival cycles and just based off of how they tour right now. Daniela has become the center as the group has become more and more focused on dancing over vocals, and this is the same reason why she has more lines. It's easier to have her be in the middle if she's singing the most. The documentary made it very clear that Katseye is more of a dancing group as opposed to a vocal or even musical quality kind of group. They only interviewed the girls' choreographers. They talked to one of their producers a little bit when Lara was in the studio making Unlove You. But outside of that, they didn't talk to a vocal coach. They didn't talk to even someone on their creative design team. The only people who were interviewed throughout that documentary were the Katseye members themselves and their choreographers directly. They are completely a dance-focused group, so Daniela being in the center just cements that, right? If we are focused on dance, why should we not have our main dancer be in the middle? Lara and Sophia do get the more vocal-heavy lines, but they are few and far between in songs like Pinky Up, Gnarly, and Hootie Fruity. Why should they use the vocalists on singing Pinky Up, Hootie Fruity? Why should they use the vocalists on singing lines like that, as opposed to letting them sing the things that are more vocally challenging and then letting them basically rest for the rest of the song? Additionally, by doing this, they can give the dancers more intricate choreography since they're going to be in the middle. Even the song Lara produced, Unlove You, was pushed into being a Target exclusive, which means that it's only on the physical copies of the album being sold at Target stores. So this just shows that they're not pushing them as singers or as producers, because this song does both of those things. They're pushing them as dancers, which is why they put more dance-heavy songs on the album and put this as a special bonus feature. If they were prioritizing the members singing and being creative, they could have put this song on the album to do that. To me, the Katseye documentary did a great job of telling us where Katseye wants to go in the future. Initially, I didn't understand why they would release a documentary at this point in time. It seems kind of strange, right? They have one member on hiatus. They hadn't even released the album yet, so they couldn't tell us everything about the production process in the documentary. It's not like they were celebrating some major accomplishment, like they were releasing this after they won some award, and then this could show the process that got them there. The entire purpose of the documentary wasn't necessarily to respond to criticism. That was a subsection of it. They marketed this as showing Katseye's journey thus far, which made me feel like something has to be changing with the Wild era.
How did we get to this point so quickly?
Something we were all wondering about is how Mana will be referred to in this documentary. Will they make it seem like they're trying to move on without her? Will they make it seem like they're waiting on her to return? And of course, they kept things very brief. Megan, she just talked about her being on hiatus and how hard it is to step away from the group. You always really want to come back and perform. To me, it would have been hard for them to frame this as them moving on without her, just because she's in every clip that they show. She's been in the group for so long, right? Obviously, for the majority of the scenes, she had to be present because she was there. And Megan described her as being magnetic, being very important to the group. They did these kind of descriptions for every member of the group. For me, it feels like, what's the purpose of the documentary, right? If there's no change that you want to show. If this documentary is your process, unless it's just a cash grab, sure. If this documentary is talking about your process going from debut to Wild era, right? And there's no major change that has occurred with us coming into Wild era. If anything, to me, this documentary would have made sense going into Beautiful Chaos era, because the day Gnarly dropped, as they showed in the video, fans were gagged. Nobody expected to see them, you know what I mean? To see them in this different light compared to what we had previously seen. This documentary would have made sense going into that, talking about we're maturing now, we want to be different, we want to show a new side of us. That would have made a lot of sense. But with this EP, we're getting more of what we got with your last era. There has to be some other change, either that being that Mana is going to be leaving the group after this era. There has to be something else that you want to show us. It can't just be that you're saying we changed. Yeah, you changed. You did it a whole year ago. So what's this about? How did it get in through the screen? There's a bug in here. Let's even just propose the idea that she was going to leave, right? Would you not wait until she's left to talk about how it made the members feel, to talk about that? Would be the whole point of the documentary, is talking about how you plan on moving forward without someone that important to the group. Again, I said that it described their motivations. Yeah, we want to do this for the fans. We're a dance-focused group. Okay, that's cool, but we saw that just from watching. We didn't need the documentary to tell us that. I don't feel like I got a behind-the-scenes look at the group. I don't feel like I learned anything new about them. We knew that their training was difficult. We knew that Laura liked to produce music. We knew that the schedule was grueling and that the members like each other, you know what I mean? All of those things you would know if you watched their interviews. And Katseye is a very overexposed group. We hear from them all the time, even when they have nothing new to give us, like no new song dropped. We hear from them every single month. They have an interview, they're on a magazine, they're doing something. They're on a podcast, they're doing a performance. We're always going to hear from Katseye. So do we need a documentary to give us any kind of insight when we hear from you guys all the time, constantly in the moment? I don't necessarily think so. I don't feel like you leave that theater and you feel like there was a true purpose behind the documentary. If you're a fan of the group already, if you keep up with them to any extent, you don't feel like you gained much from hearing it. Now let's talk about Katseye's EPs. They follow a strict rule, all of them being 5 songs, the songs being in a particular order. The first song is a pre-release, which will drop several months before the EP, and it's also a little bit more experimental compared to their other songs. We're talking about Debut, Gnarly, Pinky Up. I remember when Debut dropped and people were like, what is this? We ain't flexing, babe, we do what we do. Wanna pull up on me, check in at the gate and come through. but these were the sprinklings. These were the sprinklings of what was soon to become gnarly, pinky up, hootie fruity. Little did we know back then, guys. They will promote this song at festivals and performances for several months to prep fans for more digestible songs on the album. The second song is very acceptable. No issues with it. It's perfectly fine. General public friendly, and it'll work on the charts. These are Touch, Gabriela, and Animal. These songs could be described as boring by people who like their more chaotic music. The third song is a wild card. My Way, Game Boy, and Hootie Fruity aren't very similar. The fourth song slows things down and lets the girls sing more, these being I'm Pretty, Mean Girls, and Bel Air. The fifth song tries to blend sounds from across the EP. Now that the reviews have come out for this album, I did want to address those as well. Just to read part of the Pitchfork review, which fans have been groveling about. Katseye offer another perfectly hollow pop record that brings us no closer to their individual personalities or their vision as a girl group. I can't be critical of that perspective on them. This is something I talked about in my video about selling personality before music. These musical groups, right? They don't ask if you can produce, they don't ask if you can write. It's about, can you sing, can you dance? A lot of people who like Western music can be hypercritical of K-pop because they talk about not having artistic integrity. As a K-pop idol, you are a performer. You're not an artist necessarily. And that's where I feel there's a difference between these two. As much as people want to say that Katseye is not a K-pop group, they are 100% within that mold. They're under a K-pop label. The way they make their music, the way that they train, all of that is after the K-pop model. So this being hollow, not bringing us to their individual personalities, I'm not going to say it's false. I wouldn't expect to have an album that feels relatable, deeply relatable, or feels like, wow, I can put myself in their shoes, because they are performers and not artists. The reason that many people who aren't into K-pop talk about this is because Katseye is always talking about how each project brings them, I'll quote the Pitchfork review specifically. They claim that every new project now feels like they're getting closer to their raw and authentic selves. They've done this by gesturing at emotional honesty and getting wackier and campier, but yes, every album cycle, they do talk about this is really us, this is our true self. But to me, there's no need to posture like this. There's no need to say this. You didn't make the choreography and you didn't make the song. I said in my previous video about Katseye, right? Even if we had the members in the studio, that would make a difference. On Love You, I feel like it could have really paved this path for the members to start being more creative. But they delegated that as a Target exclusive song, kind of pushing it to the side, like, we'll put it on the album, I guess, but not really doing it. Because the label doesn't really care about them being creative, right? It's about the product that they want to sell. I don't think that Katseye's audience needs them to be authentic. I don't think that that's what they come for. They come for their party music. They come for them doing a little bit of singing, and for them dancing. This is the same thing people talk about with someone like Gracie Abrams. Her album is hollow. What is she talking about? But Gracie Abrams doesn't dance. So the album is hollow, yet you're not replacing that hollowness with anything. You're not entertaining us enough to look past the lyrics. That's how I feel personally. To me, I liked Hootie Fruity when I first heard it, and then I didn't like it afterwards. The accent did get to me. Again, the culturalness of it did get to being like you are doing a little bit much. Now I prefer Bel Air. I think it's a really fine song. I like Bel Air. Animal, I'm not into. I could feel that it was Ed Sheeran the whole time. And no shade to Ed Sheeran. It's something about his music that I've never clicked with. And they play it at work, and it's just like, get me out of here. But I just don't like his stuff, and I could feel that Animal was an Ed Sheeran project. What else is on the album? Unlove You, I think it's cool. It's really slow, and I'm not a big ballad person, so I didn't save it, but I do respect how Laura talked about she's been wanting to make her own music and things like that. I really do respect that. And I hope that this paves the way for her to get to release more of the songs that she's worked on. Pinky Up, you guys know I didn't like that one. I actually recorded a reaction video to Pinky Up, and then I felt like I was being too negative, so I didn't put it out. If I'm forgetting one, it couldn't have been that interesting to me. Back to the authenticity thing, yeah, I do get that perspective. I get it's something that's expected with American music, but shouldn't be expected with K-pop. And Katseye has never claimed to work on their own music, really. Not to always bring up this comparison, but with Girl Set, we know that they work on their own music. Girl Set portrays themselves as having more control over their artistry, over what songs they want to put out. We've been working on this one. We've been writing. They talk about that. We've never heard the Katseye members talk about, we've been doing a lot of writing and we're just really excited to put out this song and we've done a lot of work on this song. They've never talked like that. So I wouldn't go into this project expecting to get a look inside the members' minds, you know? Looking at the 3 projects Katseye has out so far, when I laid out how structured their EPs are, the first song has to do this, the third song has to do this. I feel like so far Beautiful Chaos is their best project, but none of these feel like a whole idea. When we go to, this is one of my favorite K-pop albums ever, we go to Eilit's debut project. That felt like a full idea to me. That felt like we had a concept. Every song goes together, but they're not copies of each other. We match on the messaging, yes, but we also match on our vision. They set up who we're going to be. With Katseye, retroactively, obviously this is easy to say, but if we go back to debut, we weren't set up to see who they were going to be. They were giving off Girl Next Door. One of their choreographers says this in the documentary. You know, Katseye didn't have an identity in the beginning. He literally said that. That's almost verbatim. So you can very much see that. In the issue of debuting a group with no identity is that either you fall into it. Now Katseye is this dancing group, which is cool, but you have to have a sound, and they won't make an entire album of hyperpop, right? I talked about this earlier in the year. There's so much you can explore with hyperpop, but they want to stick to this structure. And so they're going to have these albums that feel kind of hollow in a sense, because they're not exploring each genre. It's like if this was a cake, we're not getting through the layers, we're like scraping the icing off the top. And that's really how their music feels to me. Beautiful Chaos, I think, had songs on it that felt more whole, but it didn't feel like a full project to me either. There were people coming at me when I said that their first EP felt, you know, whenever they do ballad like songs, it feels kind of surface level. Even Bel Air, let's talk about. When You Were Mine, we could just run away from here and disappear. Now look at me, I'm leaving you behind. That's cool. Like, that's a cool concept. Leaving him behind for what? The reason I don't really like those kind of songs is because when I listen to it, I'm not feeling emotion. When I listen to Hootie Fruity, you know, it does make you want to get up and dance. They're good at giving you that feeling. Unlove You does get a little bit of that emotion. Unlove You does make you feel like, oh, okay, we're sad. Animal and That Way are just slow, but they're not getting emotion out of me, so it's like, well, we can speed this up then. Also, we could talk about how they don't release a lot of music, right? Since February, Katseye has been shrinking. They were originally 6 members, like they had been since debut. Then Manal went on hiatus, making them 5. Then Sophia just went on hiatus, making them 4. And sometimes Megan is missing, making them 3. I will reiterate what I've been saying. This group needs a vacation. I have never ever seen a group with 2 members on hiatus at the same time. 2 separate incidents, months apart, both members on hiatus at the same time. I don't think that their method of promotion is sustainable, and they also don't release enough music for this to make sense. The group could put out 2 EPs each year instead of 1 by simply dropping that first EP after they promote the title track. Let's think about their album release cycle for this year, right? They promoted Pinky Up in, I believe, April, and then they didn't promote Animal until August. All that time for what? And the Pinky Up EP, that doesn't exist, obviously. They could have released that in May and then released this album in August. And they would have had 2 releases, just like a regular K-pop group. If they doubled their output, it would make a little bit more sense why this group is always so drained, the members are always so tired, why they do so much rehearsal.
I know that we've been like in y'all's faces recently, like we've been doing so much stuff. Back to back to back. Like,
no, it's been so much.
No sleep.
Yeah, no sleep.
We've had what? Like 3 a.m., 1 a.m., 4 a.m. call time every day.
Okay, not every day.
No, every day. Like in the last like week. Because
like in New York.
EP came out. In New York.
In New
yeah,
York.
that. And then 7 a.m., 8 a.m.
That's a pop star's life.
The group used to rehearse 14 hours a day for 10 songs? Like 11 songs?
Give us a glimpse into what rehearsal looks like.
For the most part, it could be 4 to 8 hours of rehearsal.
Sometimes more.
Sometimes more.
Now they're rehearsing 6 hours a day. That's almost a whole shift at work. That's a whole school day of just dancing. For who? For what? Now they have what? 16 songs? Fans are also speculating on who will be the last one left, joking that the survival show never really ended. I'm saying if this continues, How are they going to do their tour like this? You're planning to go on tour with 4, sometimes 3 people? People keep buying Katseye's merch. Their songs keep performing better and better. They're set to debut at number 1 on the Billboard albums chart. With this album, they sold over 140,000 physical copies. So I'm not surprised why the label doesn't really care about people going on hiatus or giving them a vacation. Because with their money, fans are showing that they're going to buy into it regardless. Why should they make any changes? Because this is a monetary goldmine right now. Let's talk about the race issue. I have to address this. I've been talking about this a lot recently. Since Manon's hiatus, fans have become increasingly aware of her importance as a global member of the group, with her being the only one to represent both Africa and Europe, making the group currently consist of 4 members from Asia and 1 member from Latin America. Race was always going to be an issue with an international group. Manon has subtly mentioned feeling isolated as the only Black member in a girl group, like Leanne in Little Mix and Normani in Fifth Harmony. And in response, Sophia said that her hiatus was not race related, and they have come out in support. They've come out in support of her. And obviously this was going to be an issue because this is even an issue within K-pop groups of international members being treated differently. Fans have also voiced opinions of Daniela being over-sexualized as a Latina to fit into that stereotype. While the members get some control over their outfits, one thing the label also has to be hyper aware of is that fans will notice things more when they fall into the stereotype. So, for example, people say this about Daniela wearing a thong in Hootie Fruity. They also say this when Megan was sitting in her underwear in a fountain in the Pinky Up music video. They were in the exact same thing, a shirt and underwear. And I don't remember all of this hoopla when it was Megan. So I think the racial aspect of it is always going to be something that people are going to pay attention to, and that you have to take extra care with an international group opposed to a Korean group. I felt some of this in the Pinky Up leaked storyboards. I got the bug, guys. I felt this way a little bit when I saw the leaked storyboards for Pinky Up. Manon, as we all know, was originally supposed to be in this. She was shown to be actually smoking a blunt in the storyboard. Then the line, "I'd kill him for you if it got that deep." That was supposed to be her line as well. And she had a 5-foot long gun. And I was wondering, so she was going to be smoking earlier, then she was going to be the one with the gun. The Black one's going to be the one smoking and the one with the gun. Obviously, I feel like you would look at how that plays into stereotypes a certain way. Daniela in the video doesn't end up doing that simulated smoking. And they also had some other scenes that were more provocative that ended up being changed or cut out. So I think that maybe originally for the music video, they didn't want to go that far. But what is your opinion on Katseye playing into racial stereotypes? Katseye's the kind of group that everyone wants to like. They want them to keep the high energy dances and sing and make different genres of music, all while representing their cultures. And the girls kind of touched on this in the documentary. They talked about how high expectations were for them. When people didn't like Gnarly, for example, it really crushed the members. This is completely Hive X Geffin's fault for switching things up too quickly, releasing 5 songs a year, confusing their audience, and for debuting them without a clear vision in mind. I believe when Katseye was debuted, they were just thinking, if we don't do this, someone else is going to get on it. And that's what I really see with most of their international expansion strategy. With Santos Bravos, they were rushing them to debut. They literally said, we have 6 months to train you guys. The first album came out not even 6 months after the show ended. So they were very fast to do this. Their music from comeback to comeback will not be consistent as expected in the American music industry. They are a K-pop group. They're going to try different concepts. They're going to put out different songs. That's why I wasn't surprised at them being nominated in the K-pop category at this year's VMAs, despite them not uttering a single word of Korean. Katseye is the kind of group that gets people really stirred up. With me earlier in the year, I did feel if I felt like it went against what the group was supposed to be, what I felt like they were trying to sell, it was like, why are they doing this? What's going on? But they don't have a clear image of what Katseye is. They're K-pop and they're not. They're sexual and they're for kids. The only thing they don't do is rap. They're culturally representative without doing it in the music. They're being authentic without having input. They're sisters without, people there. They're showing up and being present. But when it's Sophia who's not there or Megan who's not there, it's we're giving her time to rest. So they're whoever they want to be. Is there anything that you think I missed in this video? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Already told you to like, comment, subscribe, hype the video. See you in the next one. Bye-bye!